WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday night again. You know what that means, don't you? It's time to join Mike and Christy for another episode of Where's My Sage? A show hosted by a psychic medium and a guy on a quest to find Bigfoot. Who would have thought? Together, they will take you on all sorts of adventures, and not with lots of different people. Christy even gives readings. It's time to sit back, get up and get ready. You can't sample the universe sitting down. Your hosts are waiting. Come on, let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Where's My Sage? I'm Mike here with my wonderful co-host, Christy London. Christy, how are you doing this evening?
I am very well, thank you. How are you, birthday boy? Happy birthday.
I am doing okay. Thank you. Hey, Tanya.
Yeah, look at you and Tanya had to, head it off for us.
Yep. And Keith,
did you have a good day?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Doctor's appointment this morning. Took a little nap this afternoon.
So you had a birthday nap, right?
Opened some presents. Work is blowing up my phone. It's one of those things. Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah. So
look at Christy got a new trick.
Yeah, you beat me. Yeah, but I know I can get it off. But yes.
Oh, come on. Let me have my moment. I was super proud of myself.
Okay. Yes.
It's been 3 years and you've been 2 years and you've been trying to teach me how to do it. And I was like, I'm going to make this happen. So I did.
You did.
And it was really easy.
I got some cool stuff, got some Squatch soap and a couple other little things to go along for my Jeep, redoing the new Jeep.
Nice.
So my boss got me a little sticker to go in my window of my car because I didn't, with the other one where I had it pushing my old Jeep there, but the new Jeep doesn't have it in there. So
every time you get a new car, a new truck or a new Jeep or something, it's always a good excuse to, accessorize it. Sorry guys, I'm just going to apologize now. My voice is awful tonight. I'm going to be like this until like May. You all know how I am. So,
yep. So I'll click on the happies. So, but I appreciate everybody, the messages today were awesome. They're still coming in. Do you have a good Christmas? We skipped that over that last week. We had a great show at Joe's with Ron. That was a lot of fun. That venue was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So what I didn't get
to get back there more often.
Share with everybody. I have new bait for Bigfooting. This is a KFC fire log. So I literally feel like I'm sitting in a vat of KFC fried chicken right now. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out where my spare room smelled like this because this was what was hiding for Christmas. So when the mad scientist and I hit the woods, we're going to be burning some of this stuff off. We usually pork chops or my buddy Chuck's chili, but we're going to try a little KFC and see if that works.
You sitting in a vat of KFC, that's just a mental picture. I'm just not ever going to be able to get rid of.
Hey, it took me this long to get this fat, so there's a reason for it. I was a skinny little kid in a vegan at one time, but it's stuff like this that saved my life. And being a Kentucky Colonel is more important to have a little Colonel, so, And
Are you sure you didn't have anything else this afternoon for your birthday too? You're a little,
Yeah. So again, I thank everybody. So we got a great guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
We got some events coming up. We got some folks coming in next week. We got Mark Maskey next week. So we'll definitely be talking about
that's going to be a good discussion.
Journey. We'll be talking religion, and
we're going to be talking. No, this one's going to be specific. You had your journey moment. I don't want to hear it. No, this is going to be really cool because he is also a pastor, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, that's going to be a discussion, which is going to be really neat because he is so open to all sides of things and how, learning how he marries the two together and does all that. So that's going to be up and coming. So that'll be very interesting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, but tonight we have a fun guest.
Yes.
We met her, as we have met a lot of our guests up and coming so far in Michigan. She is a cool chick.
Yes.
And what's the first thing we noticed about her when we saw her?
Boots.
The boots.
Yeah.
the boots. And I can't wait to learn more about that because it's going to be awesome. She walked by us in these teal blue boots that were so cute and the color was fantastic. And that's what you saw. And she wore them too. It's awesome. And come to find out, she has a lot of interest with clothing and costumes, and we're going to talk all about that. So, but she has also been a very busy woman because she is all over the place. Discovery Channel, A&E, Travel Channel. She's been busy. UFOs, paranormal, right? All right. So if everyone could please help us welcome Miss Heather Taddy.
Good evening, and how are you?
Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, before we get started, I have to ask you about, so those fire logs, you burn them and they literally smell like chicken?
It smells like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So weird. I've never seen anything like that.
Yes.
Isn't it?
I feel like they should have packaged those in one of the little buckets.
Yes.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
That's
Yes.
a good marketing. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
See?
But it's
It
got the
should be
11
cut.
herbs and spices.
That's so weird.
Oh,
I don't want to try. I don't want to catch you eating it or trying to eat it or
That's
licking it
really
or
funny. I
anything.
didn't know
Okay,
something
just
like that.
oh, I'm just going to leave it in the back of the Jeep for the next drive we've got. And you're going to be like, we need to pull over. So,
don't blame me. So Heather, how are you?
Great. How are you guys?
We're great.
We're doing great.
Thanks
Yeah,
for joining
earlier-
us.
Earlier today, I had a migraine and I was like, this better go away. Like,
Oh.
I don't want to cancel because I know our first date didn't work out. So I was like, this better go away. And it's still there like a tiny bit. So I hope I'm like on my game and I make sense tonight. But I have lots of water near me to drink. So I should be
Very
good.
good.
hey, if you have
Very good.
any
Me
problems, just
too.
let us know.
Okay.
I tried to cut out caffeine. So I yesterday and today, no caffeine. I told Mike before you came on earlier, I said, I have a real bad headache. I'm
Yeah.
trying so hard not to show it. But now that you say that, maybe I was picking up on you too, because it's kind of going away. So that maybe-
Yeah. Maybe. You never know.
yeah. Oh my God. We have so many people who are going to be watching tonight who were so excited that you were going to be on.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's cool. I can see it pop up. That's neat.
Oh, yeah, Mike's
we already
good
got
at
we already got a question from Tanya. Do you have any cool
Oh.
boots tonight? Not me,
I
Mike.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing any shoes right now.
Oh.
But normally, I would. I have quite the boot collection, so maybe
I can
not.
imagine.
Uh,
So we have to ask you then right off the bat, right? You're into costumes, putting costumes together and vintage clothing.
I am, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Ever since I was little, I've just always loved clothing and putting together wacky outfits. But every Halloween for the past like 15, 20 years, I've made a Halloween costume. And usually it's so weird that this happens, but I think food mascots are really funny. So I've done like the Morton Salt Girl. I've done, this year I did the Sun-Made Raisin.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's in this next room. Maybe at the end I'll pull it out. But I made these like fake raisins and everything. And I actually like every costume that I make, I turn it into like a Christmas or New Year's card. And actually, let me show you my New Year's card. I have it right here.
Oh my God, that's so
awesome.
cool.
There's no reason you shouldn't have a grape year.
Oh my God, you're so funny. That's so creative.
Yeah. So
Oh, I love it.
it turned out pretty well this year. But yeah, I mean, I like making things. I like taking, like, you can make anything with cardboard, really.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always been really crafty when it comes to that. So I've done so many costumes. I think one year I dressed up as Daria. There's just so many I can't even keep track. There's so many.
Oh.
so do you
Usually-
do the cons then?
No, I don't. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I mean, because I'm like, what kind of like con would I go to where I'd be the Sun-Made Raisin Girl? It was like a food event or something.
You know what? I can see you paving your own way. Like
Yeah.
just showing
Yeah.
up and doing whatever you feel like.
That's true. I mean, in a costume like that, just throwing raisins at people.
Yeah.
Nikki, if you're in the audience, chime in. My sister does a lot of the cons. She does a lot of the Comic Cons.
yeah.
She does a lot of costumes and stuff like that. So
Well, it's funny because when I posted those photos, I obviously had to tag Sun-Made, and someone responded to me on Twitter and they're like, Heather, this is iconic. And I immediately responded. I was like, please let me be your new official mascot. No
Awesome.
response though.
Oh, they're lost.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
funny.
simple as that. I just love clothes. You know, Gwen Stefani has always been a huge fashion icon to me. So I think when it comes to style, growing up, I definitely used her as a huge source of inspiration.
Awesome.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, she's very she's another one that she has her act together. Really
Hmm.
like the way she presents herself and as an artist, and just her fashion sense, her talent, all of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. So yes, hopefully maybe you can send us a picture of the boots and
Oh,
we can post it
of
on
course.
the
Yeah,
show
I'll
later.
totally do that. Yeah, those boots. I do remember you commenting on them too when I met you in Michigan. I got those when I was filming Alien Highway. We were having dinner in this little mountain town in Colorado, like the middle of nowhere. And across the street, there was like a really funky thrift store. And my friends and I went in, and I immediately saw the boots, and I was like, please be a size 7, please be a size 7. And I tried them on. They were like brand new when I got them, but I wore them so much that some of the paint started wearing away. So I repainted them, but the teal color is like a little off. But
You can
yeah,
do
so
that.
I found those randomly in Colorado. They were $20.
Oh,
They were
that's the
brand
best,
new.
isn't it?
Yeah. So,
It's
But I
almost
knew you
that
could
Tiffany
paint the
blue.
boots.
mhm.
Yeah. It was really pretty blue. It was just, yeah, you don't see that. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was really neat how we ended up meeting you. I mean, that was a busy place. It was jam-packed. You
Mhm.
guys were all busy, the headliners, all of you who were there. And it was really cool though, because, to be able to go to a place like that, in the casino, we were kind of chatting earlier for all of you in the chat room. We were chatting a little bit earlier about how we like the setup of the Michigan Paracon because it was so centralized. Within the casino, you could go anywhere and still you'd come right back around, even if there were like little offshoots of rooms or hallways or whatever, but everything was still local. So you always saw everybody, and the people who were there presenting could mingle with everyone else. And then especially afterwards at night, it was just really neat because the bar was right in the middle. And so everyone could just kind of congregate and really get to know and talk. And, it's hard to take it all in at first.
Mm.
And Mike and I were just sitting talking with John Kennedy, if he's listening, and his cousin. And the one night in walks Heather. And we just started chatting, and it was just in the lounge area in the front, and it was just so neat. You're very down to earth. We really clicked with you. We were just like, wow, she's just really cool. And then to come to find out you're from Pennsylvania,
Uh-huh.
right? And we were just at Hillview, and we get to talking about Hillview, and we love that place. We definitely have to make a date and go there and
Yeah,
do an
I'm actually.
investigation.
I was just talking to Carrie, the owner, just last week, and I'm going to do an event there. We're trying to pick out a date, but I'm definitely going to do an event there this year. So I'll let you guys know
Awesome.
when it is, and maybe we
Yes.
could all eventually do an event there.
Would love to do that. We loved
Awesome.
Hill. We loved it. Yeah, I filmed with another group there, and then we also did the Paracon. Well, yeah, it was like a psychic fair Paracon. I don't know exactly what they called it. I'm sorry, it's just been a long time.
They do.
Yeah.
It's called HillCon, I think, and they're
Yeah.
doing it in
Thank you.
August this year.
Thank you, because it was amazing the stuff that they had there. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it
and
was
the
the
different
beginning of
colors.
August because we went there and that's where we ran into Ron, and that's when
Right.
Ron told us if you're going to go to
That's
Michigan,
right.
and we kind of made okay, we're going to Michigan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Hillview Manor's a pretty great place because there's so many different spirits there that each have such a distinct story, and there's a lot known about each one.
Yes.
So I just feel like no matter what room you're in, you can have some sort of experience that immediately links back to the person that used to live there.
I agree. And not always running into the same ones, because when he and I were there, I made a weekend of it because we were filming, but it was a Sunday to a Monday. So we did the con, Mike and I, on that Saturday, and it was different. And I usually don't make a habit if I'm going to be there for an event or doing something as in, doing my work. I don't make a habit of going to a place beforehand. And had I known it was going to be laid out the way it was, I probably would not have gone. But I'm so glad I did. It was amazing because the way they did it was so much fun. It was so cool. But then all the spirits, a lot of the spirits I picked up on Saturday during the day were different than what I picked up on when I actually went in there and did my thing. And, we filmed. So it was a really neat experience all the way around, all weekend long. So yeah, it has a lot to offer.
When I was there just in October, I guess they usually have the boiler room closed. They had to renovate it or something, and now it's back open. So that's kind of like another added thing where you can go into the boiler room.
We were in the boiler room. That was neat. That was very neat. Yeah, that basement's something else. Yes. Yeah. So we definitely have to plan something. That would be great. That'd be a lot of fun.
And we're close enough to the ridge, so we can go down and see Eric and all those guys and get down to the Chestnut Ridge and do the other stuff. So we can make a huge week of whatever. I love that whole area. So.
Look, he's getting all excited. Bigfoot.
It's the out. I like the way the nature is down there. I like the historical stuff that's down there. You got a lot of Washington stuff down there. You got a lot of military history. There's just a lot of funky stuff down there. So how did you end up going down this path?
Oh,
this long winding path.
Well, when it comes to the ghost side of it, it's just something. I mean, honestly, as long as I can remember, I've always been fascinated by the subject of spiritualism and, what happens when you die and communicating with those that have passed on. It's just always been something I've been intrigued by. I've always loved hearing the stories. I got really heavily into it with the Ouija board. And unlike most people, I didn't grow up in a haunted house or anything, and I never really had a lot of experiences. I was actually pretty skeptical. But my older brother and his friends used to play with the Ouija board a lot. And I'm 10 years younger than my brother. And I would be literally like eavesdropping through a crack in the door and watching their Ouija board sessions and just literally just like spying on them and wishing that I could like be in the room seeing what they were seeing. But so from there, ultimately, like I got into this field, I'd say for the thrill of it. Like I wanted to have experiences. I wanted to have answers. And I wanted to know the history of these buildings and know what energy passed through there. I wanted to know the tragedies that happened in certain buildings. So when I was like in my early teens, I grew up in central Pennsylvania, and there was a lot of like really random haunted places that my friends and I knew of. Some places we would break into when we weren't supposed to. And really, I grew up documenting my whole life. So I always had a video camera in my hand. I was always filming things, and I would like take my friends on these excursions where we'd go to these haunted locations, places we thought were haunted, and we would just try to get activity. Like I'd have an EVP recorder, we would bring the Ouija board, we'd film ourselves having these Ouija board sessions and just trying to get any kind of evidence we could. And we would go to cemeteries, just like there are just a couple little places near where I grew up were like our main spots, pretty much the only spots we could go because we couldn't drive at the time. But I've just always been really brave when it comes to this subject because I'm so fascinated by it. So just going to these places and exploring and just try like do anything I could to get something to happen so that I could, know what happens when we die. Because I think, two of the most profound questions you can ask yourself are what happens when you die, and do aliens exist? Are there life on other planets? So those are still, to this day, two of the most fascinating things you can talk about, really. So when it comes to the alien and UFO side of it, when I was in third grade, this like scholastic book club used to come through every month, and we could pick out books and stuff. And I was always the only girl in my class that would order the alien abduction books. So
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, right? So my teacher started calling me an alien. So I went with it because I was like, I'm different. I'm not like any of these other people. I'm totally weird. I'm totally have my own vibe, my own style. So I kind of went with it and made up this story that I was brought to Earth to study the fashion trends of Earth and report them back to my home planet. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
I was a very creative child. So I remember coming up with like drawing out these little comic books and like a pamphlet of my home planet and where it came from. So, and other than that, I grew up listening to Coast to Coast. and just being so fascinated by the stories. And I loved watching meteor showers, and just, I grew up in the middle of the woods. So being able to see the sky, clear skies every night, and just asking yourself, is there life on other planets? Like what's out there? You hear about all the, Roswell. Obviously I was really into researching that as a kid. So just, it's just so fascinating. And I'm sure you guys can agree on all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I got into this late.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, everything was black and white till about 5 years ago, and then it kind of just it crossed paths. I was out with some surgery and ended up going down this path, and then got pulled into the paranormal side of stuff with some folks. And then we started doing stuff, and then I got introduced to the UFO folks and the experiencers, and I'm like, okay, there's more to this than meets the eye. And I got a background in archaeology and anthropology and criminal justice. I'm like, okay, well, let's put all this together and see what we can come up with. So it's cool that you're pulling that stuff in. Do you look at things? You got a film background. Do you look at things through the camera lens when you're out there doing your investigations? Kind of like, is there a bigger picture that you're missing besides what we would generally see, or do you notice different things, lighting things, or
Yeah, I think then since, I grew up, just my friends and I would always be making these like ridiculous, like Saturday Night Live type skits. And I would always be, setting up the area and setting up the scene and making sure the lighting's good and everything. So I think I definitely I was just like born that way, like just stylistically, cinematically, I see things kind of maybe in a different way, or I notice things maybe other people don't notice, especially when it comes to television and things. Like, after the more and more, experience you have, like seeing the creation of a TV show kind of play out in front of you, it just kind of comes naturally to you in a way. But I think definitely like my background in studying film and film theory, it's like I had all these amazing classes in college where we would watch movies and then write these big reports on them. But we looked at, why did the director choose to use this angle, and what does it convey? And really with Paranormal State, it was such a different show with the cinematography, because if you look back at it, it was almost made like kind of like a horror film. It was very creepy, very like point of view, like documentary style. So it's weird how all my interests just kind of fell into what I'm currently doing. I was just it just all fell together for me somehow.
That's really neat, because I remember when that came out. And I really always had, and no offense, I didn't even realize for a long time Katrina got her start there. Like,
oh, really?
Figure like my older kids were real young. So I was doing my thing, and I was, I loved the haunting, and I loved, then all of a sudden, Paranormal State comes out, and, you do your thing, you listen to it, you watch it. I always got a good vibe from that show. I always really did like it, because I didn't feel like it was over the top. I didn't feel like it was more down to earth, real, something that I could relate to with the things I went through as a medium in my life. So I was able to really get into that. And what I really loved is that it wasn't about always looking at, really not at all at first, if I remember correctly. You guys went and helped other people in haunted houses. You didn't, haunted houses, paranormal activity, people who are living with all those different issues. You weren't going just to investigate the next creepy building, which there's nothing wrong with that. Love them all. It's all important. But you know what I mean? It was a good basis. I just could really connect with it personally because of what I went through growing up and coming into my own as a medium. So I just thought it was really great. And then I was like, oh, look who was on there. And I didn't realize that was her, and that was her, and that was
Yeah.
So it was just amazing. But you're right. When things are meant to be and they come together, it's awesome, and you get to do really, really wonderful things. So yeah, I can remember when that came out, and I was a huge fan. I am a huge fan.
And it's weird to think about it all these years later. I mean, it premiered 14 years ago, and it's still on, and new people are discovering it. And there's still people that come up to me at events, and they're like, oh my gosh, Paranormal State, like, you guys got me into this field. Like, you got me into it, and you made me feel comfortable that like I wasn't the only one having these experiences. So it was super rewarding. And like, you know, when I joined the club, I had no idea about a TV show. The story about how I joined the club is pretty interesting. I was studying for a French test, and I sat down at this table in one of the student lounges, and the state called, like the Penn State newspaper was open, and it was around Halloween, and it was open to a spread about this club called PRS, Paranormal Research Society, which is based out of Penn State University. And it highlighted this huge conference that they put on called UNIVCon. And at that time, like this was the biggest conference, like no one else was doing things like this. Like we had more and more when I joined the club and started volunteering, like I helped run UNIVCon. But this article just highlighted the club, and it was at the main campus at Penn State University. And they had like George and Kathy Lutz there from Amityville, Jay and Grant from Ghost Hunters, like John Keel, Lorraine Warren, you know, a lot of like different scientists and priests and things. So it was really cool. And I saw this article and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a club at a college, like it's backed by the university. I'm totally going to join this. And the next year when I transferred up to the main campus to finish my film degree, I started going to meetings, and I started training to become a field investigator. And when I joined this club, it wasn't just like a normal club at college. It was like adding a whole other curriculum onto your already, you know, very busy college schedule, which who really wants to do that? But I mean, I wanted to do it so bad. Like I was so into learning about it, learning about famous cases, famous researchers. So I studied, you know, we had tests every week. The dropout rate for the class was like 75%. And Katrina and I were the only ones that stuck with it. But like, I just started going to these meetings. It was at a room on campus with just like a table of chairs facing each other, tables facing each other. And it was a bunch of students, maybe like 15 to 20 students, just talking about their own experiences growing up in haunted houses. It was really, everybody in the club was really interesting, just like very weird people that I feel like I could relate to, that had the same interests as me. And about the fifth meeting in, there was a casting director there handing out these pamphlets to be on this TV show. They were going to call it Paranormal U. And I was just like, wow, this is cool. And the flyers they put up everywhere on campus, it said something like, do you want to be able to gain access to go to haunted locations and help families? And I really just tried out for the show because I was like, this is going to give me the opportunity to go to places I wouldn't normally be able to go to. I could see what it would be like being on a TV show. Like I was all about it, but I was so focused on school that I kind of just, I went to the casting call. I filled out this 20-page pamphlet. I turned it in, and I actually just kind of forgot about it. But I kept going to the club, and I kept studying for the test to be a researcher. And then I just got these calls from these producers, and next thing I know, they're in my apartment, like filming me and asking me just all these questions. And then I got a call, and like literally like a month to 2 months later, we were filming the first episode for Paranormal State. So it happened very, very quickly, but I was just really impressed by the goal of the club, and it was really serious. And I appreciated that. I was like, this is just not like a normal club. Like this is like a real legit thing. Mm-hmm. And
For sure.
Really cool to be a part of, you know, the beginnings of everything with Paranormal State too.
That's what I think one of the things I really connected with is the fact that you were out there to help people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there were plenty of times where if you couldn't offer an explanation, you didn't make one up.
Exactly.
You didn't try to find one, because that's real. You don't always get to say that, you know. So many times I say to my own clients, you know, whether it's an investigation or a reading or whatever, this is happening and I can't tell you why. I can only give you what I'm receiving. And we have to just put a pin in it sometimes and wait and see what happens. And yeah, people, I think, feel like they have to be able to offer a conclusion, you know, and that's not always the case. Sometimes we're not meant to know the conclusion in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we had a lot of episodes that, you know, we didn't catch anything, you know, and we were honest with the client at times when it was maybe their negative energy that was actually creating the haunting, because that a lot of people don't realize like what you're going through in a specific time in your life, you know, and how you're reacting to it, that can create a haunting or, you know, project negativity into an already bad situation. So I feel like, you know, my training before I started doing the TV show, it really prepared me, because, you know, we had to, my goodness, we had to learn so much about parapsychology, demonology. It really, like, I'm so like grateful that I joined the club, because I learned so much. And then to just be thrown onto this TV show and actually see things happen and deal with, like, you know, because I was like the last to graduate in the group. I was the youngest in the group, and we like went away, like our first cases, since most of us were all still in school. We would leave on like a Thursday night or like a Friday night and come back Monday in time for our classes. But it was just such a weird experience, because you'd go and you'd hear these like really sad stories, and then you'd have to go back to your regular life of schoolwork, and you, in the back of your head, you're just like thinking, is this family, like, did we help them? Are they okay? Are they still having experiences? Because, you know, we dealt with families that lived in really, really old houses where a lot of that had a lot of tragic history, and then they had a lot of crazy things happening in their life. And so when people ask me, like, you know, where's the most haunted place you've ever been, a lot of times it's just a lot of these residential homes that I, you know, probably will never go back to again. I just rambled a lot, so I don't know if any of that connected.
No, because again, we learn from everybody in those experiences. You know, we had a chance to work with one of the local colleges here. We went down and did a night with them, and it was really interesting to see that the college community had actually got behind the students for their club, you know, at Alfred. And it was a nice night talking with those guys and girls, and you know, that, and again, they want to spread the word and learn as much as they can about, you know, so it's really nice to see folks expanding their horizon and something outside of classwork that you can,
and their families came out to support them that night too for the event, and it was really nice to see their families get behind them, you know, with their beliefs and their interests and their gifts and things like that. So
yeah, and I really wish that UniVCon still happened, because it was very academic. You know, we would have, it was almost kind of like in a way like the Rhine Institute. Like we would have different experiments we did. We had different, you know, when it comes to parapsychology, different like lectures and things. And before I joined PRS, I actually saw Lorraine Warren lecture at the branch campus at Penn State that I went to, and it just changed my world. Like because I grew up reading about her, obviously. And just seeing like some of the photos that she showed in her presentations, and just hearing her stories, and, you know, how her and Ed just dedicated their lives to just helping people. And that's very much what Ryan, the creator of PRS, that's what he modeled the club after, of basically how Lorraine and Ed would do their investigations, and how they would just be there to help people. So we really drew a lot of our inspiration from the Warrens. But like after I saw her lecture, like I definitely told myself, like, I'm definitely going to join this club. And I did. And little did I know, like a year later, I'd be traveling the country with her, like, and hearing her stories and driving, you know, in these vans with her, and just for hours, and just hearing her tell these stories. Like, it was pretty incredible.
I'm not going to lie, I'm totally jealous, because I didn't learn of them until later. The paranormal stuff for me didn't happen until later, because I was still dealing with my own gifts and the mediumship and coming into all that. So the actual paranormal stuff was a different side of it for me. So I know I would have loved to have been able, even just to sit in a lecture, just to hear her speak, to meet her would have just been like, you know.
I never got to meet Ed, because when I joined the club, I think it was the same year that Ed passed away. But I remember I got to see Lorraine speak a couple times, because I would volunteer and at the conference and stuff, and help run it and everything. But I remember Ryan had put together a dedication, like a presentation dedicated to Ed. And it was like so thoughtful and nice. And Lorraine, I remember Lorraine saying that really made her want to work with us, was that presentation, and just our dedication to the field and everything, which was crazy because we all looked up to her, and
Right.
you know, growing up reading about her cases and everything, and then being able to work with her, it's just like something you don't really ever think will happen to you.
Well, I'm telling you, you all gave off, and I only had the experience watching you on television. A very genuine vibe. It was a very genuine, down to earth, realistic experience with this group and this show, and I can absolutely understand, especially as a medium, because it's very different working with a medium and an investigator.
Right.
Who's not gifted, and they're strictly, one-sided, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's what they're there to do. That's what they do. It's how they do it. When you have a medium involved, it's a whole different ball game. So we have different responsibilities, different way of approaching things, different path we have to take with that. So it's really that's amazing. I'm not surprised at all that she felt that way.
Yeah. I could just remember her going to a location, and she would have no knowledge of the location we were going to. We would literally pick her up from the airport and blindfold her and just walk her into the house. It was just amazing to see her walk into a room and just be like, oh, this is where he hung himself, not knowing anything about. And I don't know. We would always be back at headquarters, watching all the cameras and listening to her do her walkthrough at the location we were investigating. And just amazing that she has the knowledge, and she doesn't even know like that. It always amazes me every time to think about that mediumship in general,
Yeah.
At least she didn't run from you like our friend Chris, DeCesare. Chad had to pull him off the stage when we were here in Geneseo.
That's right. Oh my God. So we have
he walked up to shake her hand. No, yeah, we do have questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She was like, nope, see ya. Poor Chris. He's a nice guy.
So the first one's from Green Paws. What is the most memorable encounter, UFO or paranormal?
Ooh, memorable. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to say. So this is a pretty funny one. On Paranormal State, we did an episode in Detroit, and it was at a haunted sex dungeon, and it was this gorgeous mansion.
Of course it was.
Yeah, it was
Why not?
gorgeous mansion with like a boat well and like a river behind it, or lake behind it, or whatever. And the owner had rented it out to these tenants that ran a sex club in the basement of this place. And the weirdest part is the people just like disappeared. They just left, but they left all of the parapet, like they left everything there, like the big, whatever you call the big cross with the ropes that you put yourself.
Yeah, like, what do you call those?
I forget, some kind of cross, but they left like these lockers. They left, and it really, like when you went down into the basement, it was like a dungeon, like. But it was just so odd that the owner like left all this stuff in there. Like after the tenants left and they weren't going to come back and get it. Like, why did he leave all this stuff there? But, he had heard voices. He always felt like something was watching him. We had a couple experiences there, but I think overall the mansion was built on a Native American tribal encampment. And through historical research, we found that out. And there was also a connection to the owner. I can't really pinpoint what exactly happened, but that is always memorable to me. And like the very last scene of the episode is the owner, like Ryan's doing his director's log, and the owner is walking this cross out and putting it like next to his trash. And you have to watch the episode. I think it's like season 3 or something, but it's called Haunted Sex Dungeon, so you can't miss it. But that one's probably
it's
one
just
of the
really
most
spelled out for you.
Yeah, you can't miss it. But
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So,
okay.
Wow.
And the thing too with Paranormal State, I feel like we had such a variety of cases. So I feel like I'm so like by this point I'm like very well rounded on these topics. I feel like from just my experience with Paranormal State.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah, he's probably was waiting for you guys to get there, so he had an excuse to take it out. So that it's not like, oh, I broke up with somebody and I yeah, this has been going on. Yeah. Next one we have is
Nice
from Ivana. Do hauntings only take place in old houses, or have you also dealt with haunting in new homes?
Good
Yep,
question,
in new
Ivana.
homes. Yeah, I feel like at this point it's anywhere. I mean, I've definitely seen obviously things take place in old houses, but I have dealt with a couple cases where the clients had a new house that maybe they just built and they were having experiences they couldn't explain and they couldn't kind of pinpoint what exactly was happening. So definitely, yeah, new houses as well. You know, I had this one to relate to that. I had this one case where it was a Paranormal State case. The mother was going through menopause and they had just moved from like a rough neighborhood where some bad things have happened, and they moved into this nicer neighborhood into a fairly new house, and they started having these experiences, and it was the wife releasing psychokinetic energy from her going through menopause that was causing, you know, balls of potpourri to fly across the room. And
Wow.
that the family just going into that house with the already kind of negative vibes they had from the old place. But the house was like fairly new from what I remember.
Wow.
And then Green Paws again, and I wouldn't want to take home attachments on that equipment.
Yeah, I mean, they had this room that was like, there were mirrors all over the room, and they had like the hanging like sex chairs. And
See?
I remember
50
thinking,
Shades right there. He had his
Yeah,
very own 50
and I
Shades of Grey.
I'm not doing dead time in this room. You guys cannot make me do dead time in this room. But
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about a thing for my forensic science class in college, and I just don't. Yeah. How a guy died in something similar to that. Yeah,
oh no.
No, it was bad.
Ooh.
I turned a chair upside down, and it's been 100 years or whatever now, and had some devices on it, and,
Oh
and
no.
paled himself. But they have the scientist behind it when they were doing the exam, and he's like smiling, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe what people do with, you know, cameras. Thank God we didn't have cell phone cameras back then.
Yeah, you went all over that.
Yeah, I worked too many serial things over the years. From Bill Randall, Heather, on your investigations, are you using a lot of instruments?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to equipment, my go-to is always a digital or analog recorder, because I feel like when you get evidence of voices when, you know, there's no one else in the room with you, and it's whether or not it's something intelligent responding to one of your questions, or it's a name that relates to a former tenant in the location, like that's the best evidence to me. That was one thing when I started getting EVPs, I was like, this really exists. Like that really made me a believer. So I would definitely say EVP digital or analog recorders, to me, I've got the best evidence on with the magnetic tape. But other than that, you know, I like a little bit of equipment, but it's not something I put a lot of focus on, because I feel like there's no universal piece of equipment that's going to tell you whether or not there's a ghost in the room with you. It's fun to mess with, but I don't really put a lot of my energy into it. I think an EMF detector, tri-field meter's great. Thermal cams are great to use, but and REM pods, you know, I'll use those here and there. And I've actually, when I did the Portals to Hell episodes that I was on, I got a lot of like really great response from those. But I kind of feel like your observations are the main thing that are the most important when investigating.
It's interesting you say you go
Yes.
back to analog. I was on a show with Ron Moorhead, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Sierra Sounds or not, but that's the Sierra Mountains. And Ron had, back in the 70s, recorded something, and they did it back on analog. And we got into a big talk about, you know, digital versus analog and what you actually, you know, miss with the voice canceling with some of this stuff. And so it's interesting you're going back there. I actually went out and bought a good old fashioned, you know, tape recorder to take with us and stuff. Do you use like Audacity or some of the other sound stuff to kind of look at the EVPs when you get done?
Yeah, Audacity is the one I've used. And I think, is it Logic? I think that's another one. Those are two that I've used. But a lot of times I listen to it from my recorder first with headphones, and then I'll plug it into my computer, and if I have something, I'll kind of go from there. But
have you ever? Sorry.
I've had so many EVPs. I used to have this micro cassette recorder. That's the one I used when I was like 13, and I used it all through Paranormal State. And I think it broke a couple years ago, but I haven't got another one like it since. So now I just have digital recorders. What was that question about nature?
That was a shot at
No, that was a shot at me.
Oh.
That's a shot at me.
Somebody knows him very well.
Somebody that's not getting a birthday present either. So
Feel the love.
yeah.
Hey, maybe if we go investigate Hillview or something, we could start a fire and you can burn the Kentucky Fried Chicken fire logs.
Oh,
Yes.
See if that triggers any activity.
That would be awesome. Yeah, we get all the wildlife we don't want. Oh my God.
Have you ever tried to take some of your EVPs and run them through like a voice recognition software or anything to see if they pop up?
I think I remember doing that on an episode of Alien Highway. We got an EVP when I was in this basement, and we ran it through some kind of system to like clean up the audio and wreck it. Like, I forget what it was called. Our audio engineer.
Okay. I just didn't know, like, we get the, talk to text now or something like that, and just hit the talk to text and see if it, it's like sometime you're driving and it picks up the radio on the car or something like that. If you got anything that way.
No,
I think we need to try that.
I don't really mess with my phone like when I'm on investigations. I know a lot of people do like the apps. I don't really put my phone away, put it on silent, turn it off. But
yeah, unless they're after seeing my buddy's comment there, it just reminded me, we run physics apps and stuff like that. Sensors are already built in your phone, not using something that's an outside app, because I don't know where half that stuff is coming from. So
right.
The next one is from Chasey. How old were you when you had your first paranormal experience?
Oh, and I had my first paranormal experience. It was relating to the Ouija board. So I was probably 14, and my cousin Jeremy and we used to play the Ouija board a lot. And our grandmother had died, and we thought we were contacting her through the board. And we received this piece of information that we went back to our moms, and we're like, the Ouija board told us this about grandma. And it was a piece of private information that was actually true, that we had no knowledge of, and that was never told to us by our mothers. And it was something related to my grandmother. And we were like, how did the board tell us this? But so, I mean, I don't know if I would consider that like a true paranormal experience, but that was kind of one of my first experiences to where I was like, ooh. So then I started playing the Ouija board more. But my first true experience where I was in a haunted house and something happened to where I was like, oh, wow, like this is like challenging my belief system. It was an episode. I don't remember the episode, but we had a Catholic priest up in this loft blessing the room of this. I think it was like a haunted schoolhouse or something. And I was sitting on this couch facing this kitchen, and he had said something. I don't remember what he said specifically, but I saw this cabinet that was shut just completely like slowly open, and nothing was on level. Nothing was like unlatched. This cabinet just opened. And I remember immediately like was sitting next to my friend, grabbing his leg and being like, do you see that? Do you see that? But we both saw it. And that, for me, when that happened, I was like, I immediately went over and I was looking for every possible way to see if I could recreate the cabinet opening, and I couldn't. And it correlated with a weird moment, when the priest was blessing this apartment. So that's probably one of my first that I can remember.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No shakes of the building when he was doing the blessing or anything like that?
No, no portals opened up, no fire started.
I
rumbling and grumbling of deep voices.
Yeah.
I was in the basement at Hinsdale, and Brian McCulley and Mike there, and they threw some holy water over the shoulder, and the whole building shook, and across like every device we had. Yeah, it was like, can't explain this, and I'm sitting here right with him. So I was like, okay, time to leave the basement. that place I just keep going back to for some craziness. So
That's his reaction.
Something kind of unrelated. On New Year's Day in Pittsburgh, a meteor hit Pittsburgh, and apparently it was like 11:30 in the morning, and the ground shook. It wasn't an earthquake, and they think it was a meteor, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, because they were like, there was no lightning, and I saw that. It was really, I mean, how close are you to Kecksburg when you're looking at Pittsburgh, And
oh yeah, I'm like 45 minutes from Kecksburg, I think.
So have you been to the site and everything?
Yeah.
I keep saying, and I drive around it, and talking to like Stan Gordon and stuff, like when going on the Eric Altman's event, it's like, yeah, I gotta take a look at that. And just kind of weird with that Eggcorn and stuff. Did that kind of help influence your UFO alien thing, being that close to
so
a site?
I grew up in a little town called Altoona, which is like 2 hours from Pittsburgh. So growing up, I had never seen the monument or anything, but I did an event in Greensburg, which is really close to there, a couple years ago. And that's when I was like, I'm so close, I should go see it. Because of course, like Stan Gordon was at the event and everything. And I was like, it made me think of Kecksburg. So I went and saw, but it's in pretty bad shape, I think. It's like, I feel like it could be better.
Yeah, I think it kind of bounced a little bit. Green Paws made a nice little comment here. It says you can use crisp AI and use this to filter voices of pure white noise. I actually bookmarked that, and looks like a pretty decent site there. So
that's pretty cool.
There's the man of the hour. Hi, John Kennedy. There we are. So, thank you,
John.
So John's the one that introduced us. So.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did introduce us.
So,
and I'm just going to say, he's going to hate me for it. He was so excited to meet you.
Oh, I know he was. Yeah.
He was so excited.
So
my God. He's a sweetie. That was the first time we met him in person as well. So it was really nice to meet a lot of people for the first time that you knew online or just through other people, So it was that was a great event all the way around.
It was.
So, I have a quick question though.
I'll bookmark that one.
Oh, thank you. You're just so quick and you're so efficient. Working with the Ouija board and just doing things on your own in general. Did you ever find that you had a residual or an attachment or anything happen as a result of doing things before you knew what you were doing or you were taught?
Honestly, surprisingly, no. I never had any kind of lasting effects or any kind of nothing really that negative happened. It was just really weird pieces of information that we received that would actually be true. And some of it we didn't know, some of it we did. But yeah, I've never had any kind of attachment. I feel like I had bad luck sometimes because anytime I was driving around town with the Ouija board in my car, somehow I got pulled over. And sometimes there was nothing even wrong with my car or anything. I'm just like, why would you're pulling me over right now? But yeah, nothing. And I've never had anything follow me home. That's another question I get asked a lot.
Yep.
I've definitely had things happen in hotel rooms after cases, but I've never had anything follow me home.
Like what? So what do you mean? What's happened to you in hotel rooms?
One time, I think I was in Gettysburg and I had something happen with my air conditioning. There were no specific settings or no, timed settings, but I had problems where it would just turn on and off on its own. Other little instances I would have happen after really serious cases we did, like at the beginning of Paranormal State. I was on a lot of like really serious cases, and I remember just like little things, like feeling like something was in the room with me. And you don't know, you have no way to know if it's connected to the case or if the room is actually haunted itself. Yeah. But just little instances where you just feel like something's off, but nothing too insane. Luckily, like my bed wasn't shaking or anything like that.
Right. So do you have like, would you guys do anything together beforehand and after to cleanse and protect and, open and close? I think our main thing was imagining a white light around us. And there was like a little prayer that we had said usually before dead time on like our really, really serious cases. We definitely did that. But I had a blessed
Saint Benedictine and Saint Michael little medallion that Lorraine had given me, and I kept that on like every episode with me, and I still have it today.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool. A lot of teams don't do that because, again, coming from a paranormal standpoint, that's not usually the first thing. The spiritual side of things is not always incorporated with the paranormal side of things, which is so important because they really do go hand in hand. So
yeah, and with the members of PRS, like the core members we had on Paranormal State, each of us kind of had like a different belief system, which was really interesting. And we always went into a case objectively. And if the clients, didn't believe in a certain religion or something, we kind of would adhere to like, as for our conclusion, like what we would do, like a house blessing, what we would do exactly. So I always thought that was pretty neat. We had such a diverse group of people.
That's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. Love it. Okay, Michael.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a couple questions, and then I'll answer mine. I've got them formulating in my head here. So,
Trisha.
She always wanted to do paranormal investigations. Do you have any tips on how to get started?
Ooh, yes, I do. I have some tips. I have some tips and tricks. I would say find a like-minded group of people if you prefer to do it alone or with a group of people. And let's see, maybe find a location that does some sort of like open investigation to start. That would be a good place to start. I don't really recommend doing it in your own home if you're not like experienced at it first to start, if you think you live in a haunted house. But I would say just try to explore your local area and see what kind of haunted attractions you can go to that are public. That's kind of the best way to start, I'd say.
Awesome. Just realized it's 9. We're going to take a quick commercial break. So everybody run to the bathroom, get something to drink, and we will be right back. Where's my little doohickey there? Commercial. Oh, commercial.
WLFE-DB.com, where you can find vodcast shows, podcasts, and more like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Paratalk Radio, Just Cindy, and more. So go check out WLFE-DB.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area, 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Ted Van Son Jr. is a seasoned investigator and well-versed in the ways of paranormal investigation. He is now ready to share his ideas and unique approach with all of you. Flashlight, recorder, and comfortable shoes. Hit the ground running as you follow this easy step-by-step guide to a fun and thorough paranormal investigation, perfect for first-time and lightly seasoned investigators. Think outside the paranormal box. Learn all about the technology and techniques used back in the early days of paranormal investigation. You can find these valuable resources online at Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Amazon. Get yours today.
Hi, I'm Jenna Grover. In the world of fashion, we get lost in the cost. Everyone wants that special piece of quality jewelry, but they can't afford it. Not on my watch. I sell handmade quality jewelry for a fraction of the price, and that includes jewelry made of sea glass, natural stone, crystal beads, glass beads, Bigfoot jewelry, and more. If you don't see what you want, email me, because I make custom jewelry too. Check out my website at gbythesea.com. Also, you can email me at jewelry@gbythesea.com.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
Hi, folks, and welcome back to Where's My Sage. I'm Mike. We're here with Christy London, my co-host, and Heather Taddy, our guest this evening. And
Hello.
having a great conversation and talking about some stuff. Now, you ended up switching gears from the paranormal and switching over to UFOs and the alien highway there. And how
I
was
sure
it
did.
through out west? Because as we kind of go down that path lately, I keep getting a little more and more interested in the subject, and
Right.
I get my chops busted about Bigfoot all the time at work, but I have more coworkers that are on the UFO alien kick and the conspiracy theories that go around with it. So how's that go? How's,
Well, it was definitely an adventure, and I knew I was a little hesitant at first because, I think I only had experience on one like UFO investigation. I think it was one we did for Paranormal State. So I had the knowledge of Roswell, and I had the knowledge of, abductions and what types of craft people would see. But I was hesitant at first because I was like, okay, as far as field work, one thing I have to look out for is wild animals, which I'm not used to, because you go to just some really deserted areas. And so I was kind of like really worried about that because I think they brought up something in one of our production meetings in the beginning, because Chuck and Dan, who I worked with, they were both police officers, so they carried. And that was a thing that they wanted to make sure they were allowed to have their guns, because they were going to go to places where there'd be mountain lions and things like that. So they mentioned that in one of the early production interviews. It's like, oh man, what am I getting myself into?
We can totally relate to that.
Yeah, you totally can.
100%.
But
Absolutely.
overall, though, I used to think that the two fields were more separated. But now, after working more into the field of ufology, I see that there's some correlations where it all kind of intersects. And, getting into that, I definitely thought that there was a separation, but now I see that there's, you have the ranchers that their cattle die in this mysterious way. They're seeing these UFOs in the sky, that correlate around the same time. And then they're going into their house where they've never had any kind of odd experiences, but they're having like types of paranormal activity happening in their home. So there's a connection with it all. And I definitely learned a lot on Alien Highway that I didn't know. So it was really great working with Chuck Zukowski, because he's really knowledgeable on the subject, and he's the top guy people go to for the animal mutilations.
Really?
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense, because I've had some students of my own who, working with them, helping them develop their gifts, and there have been a couple who have these visits that, and I can't explain it, because it's definitely not a spirit or paranormal. It is absolutely something else, but you can tell it's also energy. So something I would love to learn more about. Like Mike said, it kind of is starting to come up with us, and it's good because it's a topic we don't get to talk about or learn about much. And so it feels like we're drifting that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is really, I've always had the belief totally that all of these different things are connected and intertwined in some way. But yeah, more so than we realize, I guess, in different.
And now the Pentagon says Tic Tacs are real.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they're real, and they've got a whole nother unit now, and
it's amazing how like mainstream it all is now. The people are finally, listening to people's stories now and hearing them out, and people have been saying this stuff for years, even back to like biblical accounts. The same stuff, correlates with what people are seeing today. So it's fascinating, and I truly don't think we'll ever have answers. But I think we're getting close in a way that, we're learning more about what the military sees. And I like that a lot of people aren't afraid to come forward now, and it's not as taboo as it used to be.
Right. I agree.
How was it working with two cops?
It was interesting.
Yes, please enlighten me.
Especially when we were driving. And I just kind of always
don't say.
Sorry.
You just keep speaking language. Keep going.
Yeah, I would just and Chuck would be like, "No, Taddy, listen to the law," and all this stuff. But yeah, it was interesting, and I vibed with those guys very well. Our first episode we filmed together was, I think it was called Missouri Mayhem. And that was like, I think one of our best episodes. And that was literally like me meeting them the night before, and then we filmed the next morning. So I think that we worked together very well. And Chuck is very analytical and very thorough, which I always appreciate. That quality in an investigator for sure.
Absolutely.
And you got that giant camera on him all the time, which is kind of cool to,
Yeah.
So yeah, I caught one of the episodes and you guys were digging for the cave there in the middle of the desert. And so I'm looking, I'm like, he's actually packing and he knows what he's doing. And I'm like, okay, yep, we're going to check this one off on a, an okay thing. So I knew you were in good hands there.
Yeah, I definitely felt safe.
Yeah.
There was this one, that episode, we explored the theory that the theory is that there was this boy, he lived on the ranch adjacent to the Foster Ranch at that time. And it's rumored that he took some of the debris from the Roswell crash, and hid it in a cave on his family's property. And it was very fascinating because when we got to this location, there was an area in the side of this mountain that looked like it was once a cave, but it was like blown up. And the owner told us that I think it was his great uncle or something that was the little kid that was rumored to hide the debris. And he always said that when he was young, his grandmother always told him to stay away from that particular area of the mountain. But he said that there were up to probably 7 caves on his property. So we were just searching the land behind his house to try to find like any kind of source of an opening. And we actually found one. But the most fascinating part of the story is that I was talking to the owner's girlfriend off camera. And a lot of times I talk to anybody involved, even if we're not interviewing from the show, because you can always find out some piece of information. And Dan and I were talking to her, and she revealed to us that in their basement, they thought that there was an opening in their basement that led to one of the tunnels. So they were currently digging out a space in their basement that potentially could lead to one of these tunnels. And I remember her telling us that, and then we went to the guy that owned the property, and we were like, "Hey, can we see what you're doing or whatever to give us, a lead to find this tunnel or cave?" And he got really mad at his girlfriend for telling us that. So we didn't put any of that in the episode, but I'm like, I had to keep like I would go in the house to use the bathroom. I'm thinking, where's the basement door? Thinking, peek down there and find the debris.
I knew I liked you.
It's under the kitchen table, under the carpet. Yeah.
See, but you gotta be sneakier. So you gotta be sneakier in tricky situations. See, because as a medium, I can go, okay, Mike, there's this over here. I'm telling you, it's over there. Go check it out.
She's done
that works
That's
out.
the scary thing.
For real though, could you imagine if we had more time on their property and I think what we found was a cave, because when we got into Chuck's car, when we were wrapping up his truck, we felt the earth shake beneath us to the point where we were like, we got to get out of here. Everything's just going to collapse beneath us. But could you imagine if we had more time and actually dug into this cave, and if we found some type of debris that matched the description of, what the Mac Brazel had found? Could you imagine that?
That'd be so cool.
Well, now with GPR prices coming down and the availability to get a hold of a GPR and use that ground penetrating is just, it's just absolutely amazing what you can do.
Yeah. Those are fun to use. Just like looking at the thing.
I run an ROV and with sonar and everything else like that, and I'm used to doing that search and rescue stuff. But man, it used the GPR just to find those cave systems, and that's a question to follow up. And man, we really tucked right into that. Perfect. Do you think it's possible that aliens could be hiding underground from Tyler?
Hi, Tyler. That's my friend Tyler. Yeah, I definitely think it's possible. I think that there's probably secret underground bases somewhere in the world that maybe whole civilizations of aliens live and we don't know about, including the ocean too. I think that's definitely a possibility.
And then quick from Mike. It says, to Awesome Heather, did you ever find that photo to show Josh Gates that he was at Penn State?
So, hey, Mike. So yeah, I didn't. I tried to look for it, but I think I have it somewhere else in my collection of memorabilia from Paranormal State. But to tell you guys, I met Josh Gates at the last event I did in Vegas, and he came to one of our UNIFCON events I was telling you about at Penn State. He came to one years ago, and I remember him being there, but I didn't get to talk to him. But I have a flyer of it somewhere, so I went up to him and I was like, "Oh, do you remember coming to our conference at Penn State?" And he's like, "No, I never went to that." And I was like, "Yeah, you did." And he's like, "No." He's like, "You're lying." And then he just made all these dad jokes. And so I spent the whole event, I was like scrolling through my phone to find the flyer, but I haven't found it yet, Mike.
And our Mike is a huge Josh Gates fan.
He was really cool.
Yes.
I really wanted to ask him a place that he hasn't visited, that where he would want to go, because I feel like he's been everywhere. Like, where is a place he hasn't been?
Yeah, I mean, they really, push the boundaries on a lot of stuff, where a lot of us would love to go. I mean, I'd love to go to Bhutan and Nepal and stuff like that, just for the spiritual journey. And I mean, I have a friend that went over and did a 2-year Yeti trip, back in the 80s when they actually had, couldn't fly everywhere. And just the spiritual journey that he had while he was over there. And who's the craziest celeb you got to work with on this journey?
The craziest
or coolest, I guess. Just eclectic. Let's go with eclectic. That's probably
that's a good word.
I don't know. I might have to think about this. I feel like there's been so.
Maybe it was you. Maybe you were the one who was most.
I'm the alien. No. I don't know. I have to think about that. Nothing's like popping out to me right away. So maybe during the rest of our
single somebody out, but something that just wow, you just couldn't believe that person was really into the subject, And
do you mean someone that I've met at like an event, or someone I've actually worked with?
Worked with. I'm sure there's probably cool people at events. I used to go to a couple of trade shows, and you'd be sitting at a trade show, and you're like, I wouldn't put this person at this event. My buddy, we were at one event, my buddy was talking to Lou Ferrigno for an hour about flashlights, and you're like, the Hulks and the flashlights, you're like, how the hell does that happen? Just because, when you go to these things, you hang around the bar, you just never know who you're gonna, sit there like, oh, hey, and just
start talking.
I met, one time I met Tony Todd, the Candyman, the original Candyman. And that was pretty cool for me, because that's a movie that I feel like will always terrify me, like the original Candyman. So it was neat to meet him. I met Doug Bradley from, Hellraiser. He used to come to our Paranormal State events we would hold at Penn State. And he's actually like a trained Shakespearean actor. So he did like a performance. And it was amazing. But I remember going up to him and just shaking his hand and being like, "You really terrified me as a child, Doug." And he just looked at me and was like, "You're welcome." Stick out to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Let's see here. There was that.
Yeah,
one.
there were a few, weren't there?
Yeah, I thought
a lot of people were asking questions because.
Yeah.
That's
anyone
awesome.
Gonna be watching this tonight?
Oh, and this is kind of cool that NASA hired 24 clergy to study how people would react to learning our aliens. And I saw it was like that was like only a couple of days ago or something.
Yeah, they're like writing a book, I think, is what I saw.
Really?
Which is really interesting. I mean, think about it. Like if you think about back in, was it the 1930s when Orson Welles came out with that War of the Worlds broadcast where people actually thought they were being invaded by aliens? I mean,
right.
At that time, it's a little different time then, but like still, I mean, could you imagine the thought of like us realizing there's another civilization of these angry aliens that are going to invade our planet, like what people would do, how their belief systems would change. And
I'm telling you,
it's so insane to think about.
On that path, what is the most compelling evidence that you've come across for the UFO stuff?
I had some weird things happen in Sedona, Arizona, which Arizona in general, I think they have like hundreds and hundreds of sightings like statewide and like every year. And I think that one of the weirdest things I saw, it looked like a planet. It was above a mountain range and it was kind of like reddish orange. There was no flight pattern, no cloud coverage in the sky. A bunch of people saw it. It just looked like a planet. And then it just like it almost like it dissolved into something. It just disappeared. And I can't, like, I saw things like that on a nightly basis in Sedona that there's no explanation for.
Were you near the vortex at all?
No, we were actually, we were at Bradshaw Ranch, which is a place very similar to Skinwalker Ranch. I think they experienced a lot of the same things, but it used to be used as like an old movie set. Like Elvis filmed a Western there back in the day. But some of the former ranch owners had just weird experiences, but that's where we had that experience. And then in Sedona, we had something similar happen, but it's just like seeing these lights move in a way that it's not a satellite, it's not an airplane or a helicopter, and it's just like there's no explanation. Like it's not always related to aliens, but it's an identified flying object.
And Sedona is just an interesting energy place anyway. I spent some time out there and it was a little more commercial than
definitely
5 years ago when I was there, but definitely a different craziness.
And it's interesting too, because do you relate it to, is it because of the vortexes? If you can really prove the vortexes exist, but is it related to that, or is it related to like the magnetic energy in the red rocks? Like there's just so many things. There's so many things about Sedona that interest me.
Yeah, I mean, even that, or even the south or western, the canyon, getting up to the Grand Canyon. It's just every 10 years I got to go hang out there for some reason. I don't understand why, but
I actually just saw the Grand Canyon for the first time in 2021. It blew me away.
I've never been.
Oh, I didn't think it was going to be that. I honestly didn't think it was going to be that great. I honestly thought you walked out on a peak and you saw it, and I was like, okay, this is it. Let's leave. But my friends and I hiked like the whole southern rim of it, and it's just, you have the amazing view the whole time, and you can go down into the canyon. It's pretty spectacular. I would definitely go back.
Yeah, if I'm out in Vegas, I got to go out there. But I started the other way, back then, the first time I went. So
yeah.
From our buddy Matt at Central Florida Bigfoot, have you found any actual government X-Files or any good photographic evidence? Matt's a big photograph guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some so when I worked with Chuck, it was pretty cool because he has some government connections to people he can't like really reveal. And then one of my producer friends also had a connection to someone I think that worked in like the CIA or something. But we got to see some like cool footage. What's something that I saw? I feel like most of them were like animal mutilation photos. That's what I saw the most of. But I have seen a couple compelling photos. Actually, I guest starred on an episode of a show that's going to be on the CW sometime early this year. I may have told you guys about it at Michigan Paracon, but we did an episode relating to a place in New Mexico. I don't really want to talk about it, but on that episode, I feel like we got some access to some really cool photographic evidence. So whenever I know the premiere date for that, I'll let everybody know. But it was a pretty cool episode I got to be a part of.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, we definitely will drop it on our Facebook and our Insta and stuff like that. Get the word out for you. Where do you want to go? Where's the real cool spot that you want to go to?
Oh man, I would like to go back to this place I've been to twice in Trout Lake, Washington, called the E83 Ranch. It's owned by a man named James Gilliand, he's this really, really interesting, like new age hippie guy that had a near-death experience surfing. And ever since then, he feels like that experience opened him up to be able to communicate with these extraterrestrials that are kind of focused on this property that he has a camp on. And really cool place. Scientists go there and study it because no one's really sure what happens there, but it's at the base of Mount Adams, and there's some stories actually relating to Bigfoot too that are around there, which you probably know. So when I went there, I saw these things that I still can't explain. You know, we would see these lights, like a bright light. It would just glide across the sky, and then we had these high-power military flashlights that we would blink back, and sometimes it would respond. Like it would light
intelligently,
up,
like
right,
on
and
instinct.
respond to us. Yes. And the weirdest part is like it would just glide across the sky, and then it would stop, and then it would glide, and then it would just go off really fast. And I witnessed this a couple times, and it just blew me away because no explanation. And the best part was that we had this satellite tracking software on our computer that someone had a specific job to look at it. And when we saw something in the sky, they would pinpoint if it was, a known satellite. And I'm sure that there's satellites in the sky that we don't know about, but
Sure.
Just the fact that this kept happening and people continuously go there and see these things, like it's not stopping, it's not slowing down. Like it was a really charged place. But that was actually the first time I was ever kind of on an investigation where we were trying to look for UFO or look for Bigfoot as well. And I remember I interviewed this couple. It didn't make the episode, but we talked to these loggers that would be working way deep into the woods, and they were taking a lunch break in their truck, and they heard like the earth shaking, and they looked in their rearview mirror, and they briefly caught a glimpse of this giant hairy creature, a foot, like a leg, and then just something running off. And these people were really, really genuine. And I just couldn't believe that the interview didn't make the episode, but it was really, their story was really interesting. And they were almost like crying because the experience was so real to them, and they were very sure of what they saw. And so that's kind of the only experience I had, like looking for Bigfoot. So you got to show me the road.
I was going to say, Mike's already thinking, we'll school you, don't worry.
You're in the right area.
And Mike has a really good technique. It's called, we're going to go here, and then I'm going to, boom, take off and leave you all by yourself. It's great.
Hey, I'm used to that.
That's
been done to me before.
Yeah, if you look at Small Town Monsters on the Chestnut Ridge, which is right there, and Seth's done a whole bunch of stuff, and Eric Altman down there, and you got Stan and Ron. I mean, their whole PSR guys are all right down in that area. The Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society is right there at PBS. Yeah. So, there is from Tyler. Says, I don't really want to talk about it. Heather's CIA confirmed.
That's right. Some things I just can't talk about,
That's right.
I throw everybody off with my fashion, so they don't think about my connections to the CIA.
Right.
Well, somebody's got to have a Men in Black in the car, and it works.
That's right.
So, music.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. I've been talking. Yeah, you
have actually.
Yeah. All right. Where's my mute button?
Teasing you. It's okay. If you noticed, I'm not busting your chops as much as I normally do because it is your birthday. But don't get used to it. So, what about your own gifts? Doing all this work, especially working around other people, have you found that, maybe you're experiencing things you didn't before, or you're making sense of things you've always known?
I'm definitely more open to it now than I was, because I'm still a little bit skeptical on a lot of things, but definitely through the experiences I've had, I'm definitely more open to it. But I think I've gotten a lot better at being able to like read the energy into in a location, like in a room. Like I can be in a room after a while and just like feel that something's off. And before, I was never able to do that. So I think the more places and locations I've been better at doing that, which is pretty cool. Because then I'll get a feeling like I'm going out of this room. I don't like this room.
Yeah. So you're really connecting and really owning your intuition. You're really honing in on that. That's really good. That's very important, actually. That's really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty good when it comes to intuition, and pretty much every psychic I've worked with, they always tell me I have a very beautiful energy. Like everyone, like they'll stop what they're doing and be like, "You have a very beautiful energy." So that's always nice.
I concur. What's your favorite thing you've done so far?
As far as location or TV shows or?
No, like what, do you have a preference? Do you prefer the paranormal versus the UFO? Do you prefer, Bigfoot over paranormal?
I would say I prefer, haunted houses, ghosts. I love doing the historical research on properties. I love working with clients and getting to know their past and trying to make the connection between, is what's going on in their life kind of have an effect on what's happening in their house? Are they creating the haunting? I think that there's a lot of psychological, the psychological stuff I'm really, really into. But so I would just say, what I started with was just haunted houses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really don't realize as human beings, everyone always says, not everything's spiritual. There are other things, like mental, whatever out there. And I'm like, well, if you think about it, the brain, which we don't know as much about as we'd like to think we do. And you can, psychiatrists and different mental health care professionals will tell you that we only know so much because you can only learn so much while somebody is alive. And so I always like to tell people, we'll flip it. What if that energy you're talking about, that mental instability, illness, whatever the case is the energy we're projecting. So therefore it is a spiritual thing. And spiritual, I think, is what throws people off too, right? Because if you say spiritual, you think religion, you think whatever. It's just an energetic thing. It's an energy, which brings it to that spiritual level. So if you look at it from the opposite point of view, I think, people don't tend to realize how powerful we can really be without giving it a second thought, and that can be really tricky.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's the brand new Nolan study there. The scientist who's looking at MRIs with folks that have had experiences, UFO experiences, and there's a whole basal ganglia and extra nerves and stuff, which I thought was a mass. So I've been looking at that every time they kind of release a little more information, which is kind of interesting because does it go back to the old? Which one?
Basal ganglia.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah. So I have a scientist I carry around in the car with me, or he drives me around, so I can learn big words to use. So, hi, Brian. So,
hey, Brian.
Matt likes watching our show and Paranormal State.
Oh, there you go.
Cool. We like watching his when I'm not working extra overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Don't hurt yourself, Michael.
Yeah. So what upcoming projects do you have coming?
Ooh,
yeah, you're working on a couple, aren't you?
Yeah. So like I said, I guest starred on an episode of a show. It's going to be on the CW. Don't know when. It should be done soon. So I would say like early this year. I'll definitely let everybody know. But it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. And that one's related to aliens. And then myself and Katrina Weidman, we actually filmed a documentary ourselves called Travel the Dead. And we were supposed to release it in September, but we kind of ran into some contract conflicts. So we're hoping to be able to get the go-ahead to release it early this year. And it's just us going to investigations, and each, episode has like a little bit of a twist to it. But overall, it shows that we're, we had the same training when it comes to this in PRS. Right. And we met in the club and we're still best friends. So you can kind of get that like best friend vibe. And, we obviously have a little bit of humor in there because I feel like this genre needs a little bit more humor. But then we also have like the real serious side of how we conduct our investigations. And whoop, that's my alarm. So
time's up. She's got to go.
She's got to go. We understand.
Bad time.
So yeah, that's going to be called Travel the Dead, and we're going to release it on Katrina's YouTube whenever we get
Very
to go
nice.
ahead. But we're going to release some teasers hopefully soon for it. So
Awesome.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. What is it? She just seems so laid back and so easygoing as well.
yeah,
She has a great energy as well. Anything I've ever seen her in, and again, I've never met her. I just have seen her on TV. You just get that feeling about somebody, and she just seems really average in a really good way, like us, not
Yeah,
hyped
she's
up.
great.
You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome. It's just going out there doing her thing, genuinely doing her thing.
Yeah, and we've been both doing this for so long that like we're always just like we need to do something ourselves. Like let's not involve networks or anything. Let's just do it ourselves. You know, we got cameras, we filmed it ourselves. We're getting our friend to edit it, and I think people are really going to dig it.
That's awesome. I can imagine. Can't wait.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go from here? Oh, go ahead. There was a question.
That was a big question.
Yeah, it was.
This is from Aaron. Hi, Heather. What is your belief on the metaphysical property of stones and crystals? I always wear black tourmaline on investigation. I'm not sure if I believe in it. Real deal or bogus? That's kind of
I mean,
cool.
I think it's a real deal. I think that it's, you know, it's kind of proven that, you know, there's properties in stones and crystals that can be beneficial, especially when it comes to negative energy. And I myself, I do have black tourmaline somewhere that I remember I used to carry in my little kit when I'd go to places. But yeah, I mean, I love reading about that stuff, and there's so many different kinds of rocks and crystals and different uses. So I think it's fun to experiment with that sort of thing.
It really is. And you remember the earth gives us everything we need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, everything and anything out there really is for us to use, you know, especially when dealing with energy. But there is something to be said for believing in what you are doing or saying. Much like it was nice to hear you mention how you would be you would be aware of a person's belief system when you were going into a house and what they believed in, what they didn't, because doing cleansings, helping somebody on that level, yeah, if they don't believe in what you're doing to help them, it's not going to work. They have to back it up with their own belief system, because at the end of the day, when you leave, they have to be able to stand behind what they are saying or doing and what you are saying and doing to help them. But, you know, yeah, it all, I think it's very different for all of us, but the earth gives us all of the natural remedies, if you will, that we need in protections as well.
I thought you had a question, though. That's why I was looking at you. Can I go get water really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're not allowed. Wow, great discussion tonight, huh?
Yes, yeah, and guys, keep asking your questions there. Thank you for the birthday wishes from everybody. It's really a great day to have some great fans be able to hang out with you guys on my birthday. And you know, my partner at least remembered, not like I remembered hers, so we let that, you know, go through. My mother forgot me today. So
hi Jenny. Your mother in like that. What is wrong with you? Jen, can you see him at work smacking, please?
Yeah.
You old bat.
2 days. That's who we got to drag along on an investigation. We got to take Jen loose on an investigation.
Yeah.
We'll leave Ray at home.
I need to come up to upstate New York, and we need to go to the Fox Sisters.
That is about 25 minutes from me. So
what is it? Because I
the
know
Fox Sisters, Maston, Palmyra.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it Hydesville? Is Hydesville here? Okay.
So yeah, I mean that's a great. It's a crazy area. I mean, really crazy area. You drive through there with a Geiger counter, and the Geiger counter will go off. There's interesting structures. You're close to Palmyra, where you get. Right. You know, the start of some religions, and you know, it's an interesting, crazy
Mike
area.
Drive and like ask me where, you know, what are you feeling? Are you feeling anything here? How are you feeling? Or he'll get this look on his face while he's driving. He'll keep looking at me out of the side of his eye, and I'm like, "What is your problem? Oh my god, my head hurts." So he's like, I'll get that. I was waiting for that. You know?
Yeah, that just it's a great area. Ray says, "Oh, he had a bad." Yeah,
Oh,
Ray.
yes, he did.
Talk about taking armed people on a ghost investigation. Not gonna happen. So,
I have some friends that live up in Rochester, so I go up there maybe like once a year. I'll go up there, but I remember the one time I was up there, I was like, it dawned on me that Hydesville was like super close. I was like, I have to go find, the birthplace of spiritualism. Like, there's no way I'm not gonna. And I drove out there and found like the monument and they have the whole foundation of the house kind of like locked into this little structure. It's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool area.
It's easy enough to get there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
hey, you can come up and we'll just make like a couple of days of it. We'll make a weekend of it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll hit them all.
Join us.
Yeah,
it'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's literally like 25 minutes for me. So it's.
What would be really cool if we started some kind of like Fox Sisters festival or something where we kind of we recreated the seances and things, but we wore proper costume.
Okay, so here's the thing. So
Michigan Paracon. Yeah.
Well, so Tim Shaw, right before COVID hit, Tim is very big into the seances and he's very good. And he actually did a class at Michigan at the Paracon. Mm-hmm. So right before COVID hit, he had invited me and a few other mediums to go to, I forget where, Buffalo Historical Society, something like that, to go in period dress and do seances in all the different buildings. And then we were going to get together. We were finally starting to work it out because I had never done one, and so we were all going to just get together. He's going to teach us the whole bit, tell us what to expect. And then COVID. And so we have not been able to get into any of those buildings to do that. And last year it was looking like, okay, we could. And then the numbers started going up and they said, sorry, we're not doing it. So that is a really cool idea. And I know Tim Shaw would also be all over that one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he's probably sitting there if he's watching this going, damn it, Christy, why are you volunteering me for anything else?
Well, I told
Put my
him
feet up.
I thought I was going to see him at Michigan Paracon. And I remember flying there and thinking like who I was going to see. And I was like, I have this great idea. Like, I don't know. It just makes me think of like Gettysburg and the Salem witch trials, just to recreate an event that happened there to see if it kind of stirs up.
Yeah, totally cool idea. Yeah,
and
for
it gives
sure.
me an excuse to wear like a weird costume. So.
There it is. That's awesome. If you could do one thing moving forward, what is it that you really want to do? Even if it's like an idea of your own. It could be working with somebody that you never worked with. It could be going somewhere you haven't gone, but like it could be anything. What would you do? Or what would you hope to do by the time you're done with this?
I mean, that's such a tricky question because I feel like there's so much. I mean, I think there's just like a lot of people. I just feel like everybody who's been on like an investigative TV show, we should just all combine forces and do like one big giant investigation somewhere, just to kind of see how it is to like work with other people and, different techniques they use. But I mean, as far as locations, I've still never been to Waverly Hills. That's a place I would love to investigate. I would love to go to the catacombs in France. That's been on my list forever. I just feel like there's still so many like really, but anytime I go to a location like relating to the history, I would love to just like I said earlier, like recreate a scene exact, like clothing, not have any kind of equipment, like literally pretend we're in that time period, put ourselves in that time period, because I think that that helps, like use yourself as some kind of trigger object. I think that would be really neat.
Yeah, in the right way. It's like the movie A Moment in Time.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I think there's a lot to it.
And really leave those film crews behind so you could just be yourself. And that would be really interesting to see what you would get.
I know. Yeah. I like thinking of different, and on Paranormal State, we did so many really interesting experiences. Like we did Gonsfeld, we did like the Shakti helmet where you the theory of the electrical field stimulating your temporal lobes to kind of create a presence or like a sensation. I've always been into using, like, experimenting with different devices like that to see what would happen.
Interesting.
Maybe going to a really charged location and doing things like that.
Have you tried remote viewing or any of that?
I remember, actually, in one of the very first meetings I went to for PRS at Penn State, we were all trying to remote view. I don't remember exact specifics because it was so long ago, but I remember like getting a pamphlet on remote viewing, and then we were all going to collectively try this experiment. I wish I could remember what actually happened, but I'll have to ask somebody else that might remember.
I understand. I do.
There's so much. I just can't keep all of it.
We got a suggestion. Temple of Viracha.
I don't think I know what that is. What is that?
Jen, is that it? I wonder if it's in Ecuador. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, get on it, Mike. That's your job.
Well, if Ray's saying there's lots of paranormal activity, then there's lots of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
That's one of our guys who's had some interesting things happen in his life, to say the least.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you should talk to him sometime. For sure.
Yeah.
That's it. I think we should try to go to Waverly Hills together because
it's in Peru. Oh, it's in Peru. We're going to Peru.
Peru. Wow.
Oh, we're going to Peru. Yeah. Okay.
We're going to Peru.
Let's go, guys.
Well, I was hoping she was going to say Ecuador, then we could get a hold of Angela from Naked and Afraid and grab that crew. I'm friends with a lot of folks from Naked and Afraid.
Yes.
And
really?
Yes.
That one of the girls that's got her and her husband have a resort on the beach in Ecuador, and they do a lot of spiritual stuff down there. Her friend Tara, who does a lot of energy work and stuff like that, they do it right on the beach, and it's a cool little place. So, yeah.
Talk about taking things to the next level.
Oh my God! Imagine if there was a show called like Naked and in a Haunted House or something, or Naked in the Paranormal.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Well,
everybody just comes in. They're introduced with just like a white sheet with like little cutout eyes, and then they just take off the sheet. This is your location for the night.
I don't even know where to go with that one.
Mel's gonna be here in March. She's originally from Philly, so I'm sure she'll go back to Pennsylvania. Oh yeah.
Let's pitch that. Let's get that off the ground.
Okay.
Why not?
Right. Sure.
Because those guys have had a lot of paranormal experiences doing their show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there any episodes you can think of where they kind of point that out that I could?
Yeah. It's a Louisiana episode. It's got Jeremy McKay and Mel Rocher in it, and we're friends with Mel. And then Trent
Nielsen.
He's also had some experiences. He was down in, I think, Belize when he had his experience. There's a lot of funky stuff that happens because they're out there alone. And they actually had some spin-off stuff. EJ Schneider did some stuff. It's really crazy. But yeah, the Louisiana episode, they're in the swamp and they've got like a face, like they thought it was like the river or something like that. Like literally Jeremy's from Louisiana is like, I don't want to go to the swamps. And they went to the swamps, and there's breakdowns that Discovery Channel has from them. They're like, hey, get somebody here like now. And there was a whole bunch of weird stuff related to the island and the history of the island. And they've done quite a few interviews on them. Stacy Casio, we had her on. She's had a couple of weird experiences.
Yeah.
She does that Fringe with, it really pushed her down. Like the Fringe with Benefits is her show. And we've had them on our prior episodes and stuff. I've done some traveling with the folks, and it's
a lot of them are very spiritual. A lot of them are healers. They're already in tune with their own gifts and, the different ways of life that they're already living. And then that's either why they got involved in the show in the first place, or it helped bring them to it on a different level. But yeah, and then between the experiences they've had both in their own lives and then with the show that you don't expect, but circumstances being what they are, it's to talk with them. Cause I thought the same thing at first, like what, and then you talk to them and it's, wow, it blows your mind.
We're doing we're doing an event the end of March here in Rochester. Actually, it's the Winter Parafest.
Yeah.
And Mel will be here, Trent will be here, and Chance, and really in talking about spiritual journeys and their paranormal and Bigfoot experiences and stuff like that.
And they're just really hysterical and funny.
Oh my God.
And a riot to hang out with. They're just awesome.
You join join their family. You're in for a ride.
You would think like being on that show, like you're secluded for like a month?
Anywhere from 21 days to, if they do those XLs, 40 days. And there's extended.
Not people to like eat like a full meal. I'm sure that you would probably like start hallucinating or going crazy.
Oh yeah.
And that would trigger something.
Well, not to mention,
imagine the stuff that they go through, just talking to them, stuff you don't even realize that they go through there. Oh my God, it's crazy.
The bugs.
I don't know how people do it. I couldn't in a million years.
No way.
I'm not going on a Bigfoot date.
But Bigfoot's naked, so why aren't we naked?
Ain't no one want to see this, honey. Let's move on.
That one not.
Oh God.
Not a good idea. Sorry about it.
I just had a visual that I don't know.
You leave Paul alone.
Yeah. Cigar hanging out of his mouth, running through the woods naked with a thermal camera. Yeah.
Sorry, Paul. We love you.
Oh, sorry.
So, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost 10
Grace is
o'clock
trying
already.
to do, but yeah, okay.
Oh, without a camera crew. Ooh, it's a long time.
Yeah. We had a friend that survived 22 days in the Ecuadorian jungle by himself. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Whole different
so,
show.
Out of your experiences, you're really in the historic locations, are you into the architecture as well when you get into those locations?
Oh yeah, I'm just constantly like looking at every little detail of every, piece of paint that's peeling off the wall. I'm into all of it. Yeah. I mean, just, in old buildings too, I feel like they were built with so much more thought as far as like decorative architecture goes. Because I know even like when I'm in downtown Pittsburgh, like there's so much intricate detail on like the tops of the buildings and like different little things that I noticed. But yeah, I've always just really been into old abandoned places.
Is it the Carnegie Library or the Carnegie Museum that's right there that's supposed to be haunted or something? Have you done that?
Yeah, I think it's the Carnegie. It's like a theater, I think. I've done an investigation there a long time ago. It's like a theater or something.
I
heard that had some really awesome architecture to it.
Yeah.
We have a question from Trisha. Do you believe in tarot card readings?
Oh, that's a good question. The ones that I've had, there's definitely been some readings from the cards that like related to stuff that was going on in my life. But, all of that I kind of just take with a grain of salt. But it is, I do like getting readings because I feel like, it can uncover things that in the back of my head that, as far as like experience or thoughts or ways of living, it triggers something. So yeah, I think I believe in them, but I don't put like 100% belief into it, if that makes sense.
Nope.
Like I don't follow it to where, it leads my life, but I definitely like reading about all of that stuff.
So when you walk into a location or you get this evidence, you really look to debunk first. And then when you say, oh, I can't debunk this, now we start connecting the dots, or do you see, I guess, a pattern when you go from location to location? Like, hey, I saw this here, I saw that there. Can we put it in a, chalk it up to the craziness file? And I use craziness in a good thought, not in a bad thought, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of specific examples. a lot of times working with clients, like at least with PRS, we conducted like really lengthy interviews. So you went through several stages of interviewing before we actually like decided to go through with a particular case. And then we would put it all together and pitch it to production and decide, are these people genuine? Is this enough activity, for us to investigate and everything? So, we kind of went into a lot of it knowing things that the clients experienced. And I would definitely say anytime something happens, I'm always the one to just try to think of like every unique possible way to recreate it. Like I have to try and recreate it. And then if I can't recreate it, and it's just so odd and bizarre, then I'm just like, okay, we could roll that as supernatural because we don't have any explanation for it. So it just depends. I mean, every case is so different. So I just feel like,
he's totally not laughing at you.
I am not laughing at you. I got no naked stuff raking after his glockenspiel and his butt crack. This individual might have taken a couple of pop shots at a ghost once.
Oh God!
And is banned from a few locations in Western New York. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
And he may have been working with some of those bigger names at the time.
Yeah.
Before they were big names.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah,
they haven't forgotten either. Trust me.
So you're big into music too.
I am always since I was young.
So when you're out, do you play your music or sing or try to use that as a bait to pull something in, or do you kind of separate those fields?
I separate those two worlds. I've never really combined them in any way, but I've always had this idea to create a band that was definitely like paranormal themed, where all we sang about were like poltergeists or, EMF detectors. I always thought that was start like a surf rock band like that. I always thought that was a good idea, but I've just never gone through with it. But I've always been into music. I grew up playing the violin, and I have an older brother. He's 10 years older than me. So I got, I was really into all the music that came out of Seattle and all the punk, like the ska. I'm pretty diverse when it comes to music, but it's always been a huge part of my life, playing music.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
When you perform all over the country too, right? Still?
Not over the country. No, I was in one band called Glowworms, and we toured. We actually toured upstate New York, and then we went into Canada. We went all the way up to Quebec, Toronto, Montreal, but we actually played a show in Buffalo one time.
Did you? Where?
It was in the basement of like an old punk house with a local band, but there were a ton of people there. Just imagine like all the punks of Buffalo combined into a basement. I don't know, it was fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So we played a lot of shows like that, and then we went through Canada, and touring was super fun experience to me. That's the first band I was in that actually toured. But
wow.
I should set up and play at like different Paracons and stuff.
Yep.
So that would be awesome.
It's just finding the time to write all of those paranormal themed songs.
But then you could grab like Cliff, and he can play guitar for you, and there's a lot of
we
folks.
can have a sing along. We can have a sing along this year.
Not me.
We could do like a digital practice where we all practice on Zoom and meet at the event, and we play live for the first time.
I agree. I think that would be epic. And the drunker we get, the better it'll be.
How about that?
That would be better than a dating game that they had at the end of the night.
Oh my God.
That would be awesome.
Be so funny.
That would be epic.
Okay. Hashtag goals. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Got a question from
any
Sally.
other questions? Yeah, because I know we have to wrap up
and
soon.
We're getting close, and we don't want to hold her too long. Anything on the meeting to see a 4-foot reptilian during? Oh, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one.
Ayahuasca.
Oh,
very good.
Did you do that?
I've never been on an ayahuasca retreat.
What is it?
I've never seen a reptilian, but you never know what the future holds, Sally. You never know. If you invite me to one, I'll go.
Ooh.
I thought that was not the best stuff in the world to be ingesting into your system. So,
Yeah, but
well, I mean, I know Josh did it. I know some other folks have done it, but
You gotta.
that's a crazy, crazy thing. But
I have
again,
a feeling Taddy over here likes to live. Well, you only live once.
that's true.
You gotta try everything once, right?
Yep.
yeah, that's
Wow. Huh.
awesome.
I see geckos. Excellent. Wow. Well, it is. I can't believe how fast the time went again. This was
It
great.
did. It really went by
Yes.
quick.
Wow. Yes. And I have to say, I love your Ouija boards above your
Oh,
breakfast.
thanks. Yeah. This one over here is the one that I grew up using that I had all those experiences with.
The white one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the glow in the dark ones.
Oh, even it's fancy. It's fun.
I have other ones that my parents that are like really old, but I just kind of leave them at their house.
No. She's like, yeah, they can keep those over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull those out in a Raggedy Ann doll, and I'm out of here. So,
Oh, yes, that's so funny.
yeah, I hate those things. So,
Wow. Well, Heather, it's been such a pleasure having you.
yes.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
for sharing so much
Thank you.
about you and just
Yeah.
sharing so many things with us.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime. Let's do an investigation
Yes.
somewhere.
Absolutely, for sure. We will definitely be in touch with you. Yes. We wish you
Yes.
all the best with everything coming up. We can't
Yes.
wait to see what you're going to be doing now.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Where's the best place to everybody find you?
Well, I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can find me under the name Tad to the Bone. And Twitter, I'm on there as Classic Tad. And then I also have my website, which I update here and there. I'll put some fun blogs from investigations that I used to do, like really old ones from back in the day. I still have
Wow.
all my notes and everything because I'm always, writing in a little notebook. So I saved all that stuff and I'm slowly turning them into blogs with photos just to kind of give people like an extra, insight to,
Very
investigation.
neat. I
So
love that.
Heather Taddy.
Yeah. HeatherTaddy.com. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. I can't wait to see what the new year brings. I can't wait to see you again. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
totally.
fun. Yeah, for sure. Best of luck with everything.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, awesome. Thank
Wow,
you
great
again
show.
to Heather and
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, just it's an absolutely amazing show. I can't wait till get out there and do some investigations with her.
Oh, yeah, for
it
sure.
looks like the Pittsburgh area is somewhere we got to get to with everybody.
Mhm.
But just I appreciate everybody for
Yeah.
and I'm talking too much again. So anything else there? We got Mark next week, who's an awesome guy. Small Town Monsters and Monsteropolis and everything like that. A good friend. And then there's quick after that,
There
we
it
got
is.
Brian Keno.
Brian
And then on the
Keno.
25th, we've got
Spirit messages.
some spirit messages. So
I know it's been a long time since we've had a reading show, so it's coming up. You never know, if we get bored one of these nights, maybe we'll jump on and we'll do a reading show.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've just jumped on and done one, so
Yep.
you never know.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining us as
Thank you.
always. We look forward to seeing you next week. Another last minute happy birthday, old man, to my partner over there.
Yeah, definitely old. So
yeah, you're older than me, and that's all that matters.
Yep. So good night from us, and
Yeah.
be safe and sample on.
Good night, everyone.